One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
As a few hours ago, Trump ally Steve Bannon is a free man, released from prison just days before Election Day. Bannon served a 120-day federal sentence for contempt of Congress charges after refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House Select Committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And the timing of his release could not be more critical. The New York Times put it this way, quote, Bannon's release from prison will unleash an agitator into a heated campaign. CNN's Sarah Murray is in Washington. There is a question here. He could impact the race, couldn't he?
Well, certainly he could. I think what we've seen from Steve Bannon is he does not shy away from incendiary, inflammatory rhetoric and trying to use that as well as a wide variety of conspiracy theories to really try to rev up the Trump base. And, you know, he does that on his War Room podcast, which people can get in a variety of places and which has really suffered in his absence. When we were talking to people about the metrics, for instance, Podchaser, which is a company that measures this, they noted this precipitous fall off in the reach of the War Room podcast when Steve Bannon was behind bars, and that it's been ticking up a little bit, essentially in anticipation of his release. You know, as you pointed out, he's been behind bars in federal prison in Connecticut for 4 months after he was convicted in 2022 on 2 counts of contempt of Congress. That was for refusing to provide the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol with documents as well as testimony. But now he's out. Now he is out. He's resuming the helm of his megaphone, and he essentially has a week to try to sway Trump voters and any potential independents to show up on behalf of Donald Trump. And look, there's an indication that he's not wasting any time. We expect him to be back, planning on holding a press conference in New York. And so, you know, it is going to look a little bit like a final sprint for him to try to get Donald Trump over the finish line. Although I will note, as I was talking to folks who monitor this sort of conservative ecosystem, they think it's going to take a little while for Bannon's audience to fully return, but they're really looking at Bannon as the kind of agitator who's going to continue to whip up election lies and conspiracies if we are in a position where it looks like Donald Trump is falling short on Election Day.
Agitator. And not sure if he's going to be able to get the audience back. I'm pretty sure Stephen Bannon is going to get the audience back. I'm pretty sure right away he's going to get the audience back. In my estimation, it's going to start, or may have already started, today. And all you can hear from the left at this point, as you just saw, is fear. Fear, 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 fear. They don't want our voices. As I've told you, they've gone out today and they've gone after Benny Johnson, they've gone after Tim Pool, they've gone after Tucker Carlson, they've gone after Ben Shapiro, they went after Dave Rubin, and they're working their way through a list, which I hope I don't get on, but if they do, F you, bring it. You see, they can't have all of these independent voices talking. I mentioned it kind of earlier today in show number 1, and now in show number 2, we've gone from basically, we don't know if we can keep these people talking, to some of these people telling you, as I've been telling you for quite some time, to be prepared for what's coming.
I can tell you, in coming from and being a political prisoner in a federal prison, that the young men in this country that are African American and Hispanic detest Kamala Harris. They detest her. We're going to go into details today and at the press conference of why that's up. But we have a chance to move past race on November 5th. Everything we have fought for so many years is all coming to fruition, and we have to have a convergence. And my fear is that some people, I think, are trying to lean on the shovel and say, look at the polls, these polls, and Trump always under polls, and he does this, so Trump's up 3, 4, 5. Hey, maybe that's the case, but that's theoretical right now. Reality is the electorate we bring on November 5th, and that gets back to you. That gets out to get the vote. Look, Elon Musk is one of the smartest guys in the world, right? If not the smartest practical engineer in the world. Charlie Kirk is incredibly smart. Look where they've put their efforts over the last couple of months. Look where Elon Musk wrote $150 million worth of checks the last couple of months. It is flat out, get out the vote. And that's where this audience comes in. Your efforts have been magnificent. The co-hosts that have done this for 4 hours a day and a couple hours on Saturday, and then plus other streaming we've done with Grace and Mo, the incredible thing of these people stepping up is everything to motivate you to make sure that you get out and vote. You know, Nancy Pelosi sent me to a federal prison. She sent me to a federal prison as a political prisoner to do two things, to make sure that she tried to tamp down the power of this show, right? Tamp down the power of the show, and also to break me. Nancy Pelosi, take out your number 2 pencil and write this down. This show has never been more powerful. The voices behind it have never been more powerful. The audience has never been more powerful. And we're going to deliver a knockout blow to your progressive insanity on 5 November. And then we're going to secure the deal after that.
Secure the deal after that. The theme of what I'm going to show you until Trump comes on is getting ready, because all the big voices are saying the same thing I've said to you. Get ready for what happens after November 5th. I can't stress it enough. I don't want to seem like a doomsayer or Chicken Little, but I just don't want anyone to be left behind. He's going to win on November 5th. And then November 6th, all hell is going to break loose. And you had better be prepared. I see I forgot to put, are you ready for it? Are you ready for what's coming? All, and I do mean all, of the conservative voices are now in lockstep telling you, you better see this. He's going to win in a landslide. And after he wins is when all shit's going to happen.
Number 2, the 4 months in federal prison not only didn't break me, it empowered me. I am more energized and more focused than I've ever been in my entire life. And I can see clearly, just like in 2016 and in 2020, exactly what's going on here and what we have to do to defeat it. I want to go back through the 3 phases. Number 1 is 5 November. All that matters right now in places like Pennsylvania and in Michigan and in Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, obviously other states, but these 7 battleground states, is to deliver something that takes us to where Ohio and Florida are today. We have
Just to stop him for a second, found out during the break between show 1 and show 2 that Kamala has basically waved the white flag in North Carolina. They've pulled out of North Carolina. That's a Trump state. They're trying at this point to shore up their forces in Virginia. They are trying to save Virginia at this point. They have lost Nevada. Her number and her ability to win is shrinking and shrinking fast. Just understand what I just said. They've lost Nevada, and they're pulling out of North Carolina, and they're going into Virginia where they never thought they would have to defend. Some of the pollsters, for what it's worth, have Trump winning Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. She's in deep trouble.
to put this beyond their ability to steal it. Because don't think for a second, by hiring Mark Elias and the gang of thugs around him, that they don't look at phase 2. They understand she can't, Kamala Harris, it's impossible for her to generate any enthusiasm.
Notice he said phase 2. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Phase 1 is your vote. Everybody, you know what you have to do. I think a lot of people aren't prepared for phase 2 because they're not used to having a phase 2. That phase 2 begins on November 6th. And if you're not ready for phase 2, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be caught. I'm not going to say it because they won't let me, but you're going to see what people are saying in this video.
Number one, what she had to do was to focus on one thing and drive the narrative. Her politics of joy was too ill-defined. She didn't do it. So what did they do last week? They pivoted. Tonight falls on America. This is a fascist movement that the people that support it are equivalent to the American Bund, the American-German Bund in the 1930s. That is a bald-faced lie, and it's a.
And why do you think that is? Now you've got to start accepting what they're doing. They're labeling you and me, not just Trump. They're labeling all of us as Nazis, fascist, enemies. They've authorized a Department of Defense authorization. They've gone through and now they've got insurance companies that say you can't treat people whose injuries are a part of, anything that has to do with driving what they consider an insurrection. Why would they do that?
Dangerous lie. So number one, on November 5th, we have to crush them at the ballot box. And there's only one way to do that. The commercials aren't going to do it. Only thing is going to do it is you're putting your shoulder to the wheel. The hard work of walking precincts, the hard work of working phone banks, the hard work of texting nonstop. And we have to put in superhuman efforts to support the Elon Musk of the world, to support the Charlie Kirks of the world, to support the other organizations that are out there doing this. Number two, and we're going to have hopefully Mike Davis and Boris Epstein and Bill McGinley, three of the prominent leaders in the legal effort to combat Mark Elias. They are signaling you right now what they're going to do. Every day, with you see, we're going to delay, we can't count the vote for 7 days, we're going to take mail-in ballots 5 days later. Every day after November, the evening of November 5th, is going to be Stalingrad, where Mark Elias is in court, and they're going to do this to slow it down. If they can't take it away from Trump, if they can't nullify it right there, they want to at least delegitimize his victory. Remember, Jamie Raskin is out there dovetailing off of Nancy Pelosi's interview in the Rolling Stone, where she says, I only have one purpose in my life. My purpose is to make sure that Donald Trump is never reelected president of the United States and he never sets foot into the White House again. And Jamie Raskin has been very upfront. If they take the House even by a single vote, 218 to 217, what they will do is sit there and say that Trump is an insurrectionist, that, hey, Bannon and Vardy went to prison. Trump's been indicted. He's an insurrectionist, and he cannot take the office of the presidency. All that's in front of us.
Here's my...
All right, so some of you had asked me, and quite a few times, what happens if Kamala doesn't basically sign in the vote, certify it? Well, now you're starting to see people tell you what's about to happen. The whole phase 2 of this is something that not a lot of people are talking about, which now I believe we need to move into. You've already done your part. You voted. Trump's already telling people if you cheat, you're going to go to jail. But he can't do that until he gets into office. So what happens in that interim? We've never had, just imagine, we've never had to think about that as an American public. What do you mean? We vote the guy in, then they have the inauguration. And then between November and January, we watch football, eat turkey, open Christmas presents, and we get ready for the new administration. That's how things used to be. Not anymore. Now the American people have to realize that Christmas and New Year's aren't going to be that important right now. We're going to celebrate the birth of our Lord. No, there's nobody who's going to stop that. I'm talking about Christmas in terms of being jolly and walking around the mall and singing carols and doing all that kind of stuff, and then having family over for turkey. Hey, be very careful. I don't know what they're capable of. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. They're telling you. You look up what Mark Elias is doing. You're going to hear what Jamie Raskin has said. And this is from Dan Bongino.
Depends on exactly what I was telling you before. They are planning in this November to January period for street thug type Antifa BLM violence. Folks, I need you to listen to me. I would never steal you wrong. You know, I always tell you,
there's a reason why so many of us are saying this. I haven't talked to Dan Bongino. I definitely haven't talked to Steve Bannon, who just got out of prison. We can all see what's getting ready to come, and I get people who email me and text me or DM me, and they're like, "Barry, you're sounding like there's a panic." I'm like, there's no panic. I'm not panicked. I know what's in that closet. I know what's in the closet out there. I know what's in the garage. I'm not panicked. I'm just trying to get you to a position where you don't have to panic.
It kills, don't panic, but you better be prepared. And this is a little message that goes out to our local sheriffs and our constitutional sheriffs. If this is going to happen, I don't want it to happen anywhere. But if it's going to happen in liberal cities and they're going to allow it, there's nothing I can do. But you better be prepared. Shut this shit down. Assembly, legal assembly, constitutionally protected speech, you know the rules. You don't need a lecture from me. But breaking the law and violence, no way. Here's Mike Benz on this topic. Check this out.
Is your sense that on, say, January 20th, if Trump does win clearly in the election, is your sense that on January 20th, Trump will be inaugurated or no?
Well, if he wins on November 5th, it's going to set up this scenario that we're now, talking about with Jamie Raskin. This period between November 5th and January 6th is going to be extremely intense.
If Mike Benz, Dan Bongino, Steve Bannon, and you're going to hear even more people go, this thing is about to get squirrely. We all know what the vote's going to be. We can see her on the run. We could see her waving the white flag and moving away from different states. It's over. But they're not going to go down like that. You can't expect them to just lay down. That's not what they want to do, because a bunch of them know if they truly feel they're going to go to jail, they're going to fight like hell.
If Trump wins, you are going to see, my sense is that you will see street paramilitary, left-wing / never Trump right, even potentially. You're going to see this sort of be it summer of love, summer 2020 style riot force start to break out on the streets. The media is going to portray them as pro-democracy groups who are protesting the illegitimacy of the Trump Electoral College victory.
Protesting the election of a what? Oh, a fascist. There's no way this country could basically just sit back and let a Nazi and a fascist assume office. We can't have 1939 all over again. You see where they're going with this? They already know she's lost. They've already known. People were wondering, why did they take the pivot to the craziness that they're doing? Why would they be talking and saying this stuff all over the place and doing interviews? Yes, I believe he's a fascist. And they threw away their campaign. There's no way nobody's voting for her, the insanity. But the insane ones are hearing this and going, I hear and I obey. I hear and I obey. And that's the part and they're going to enjoy what they do. They love the chaos and anarchy.
You're going to see that. So that's going to shut down the country. It's going to start terrorizing people. It's going to start preventing people from being able to communicate.
Folks, you got Megan talking about it. You got Ben's talking about it. You got me talking about it. I'm not making this up, man. I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench into the machinery and gum things up. I'm just telling you, like, if you watch the signs and the signals, there's a way to stop this.
That's the key. Watching the signs and the signals. Listen to what they're saying. Why would they be saying what they're saying? On every news channel, they're saying it over and over and over again. Nazi, 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 Nazi. Fascist, 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 fascist. That is not going to endear someone to vote for you. There's a reason at this point why they are saying it.
And the way to stop it is for our constitutional sheriffs and police chiefs out there. Everyone has a right to speak. We get it. We all have constitutional rights, and everybody knows what to do with that. However, jumping in the street, chaining yourself to stuff, burning down buildings, you got to cut that off. You've got to take the Rudy Giuliani approach to riots in New York when I was a cop. You know what that approach was? First person that throws a rock goes to jail. Second person that throws a bottle goes to jail. You know what happens to the third person? Nothing, because there wasn't a third person. That's how you stop it. You don't just say, let them blow off some steam. You don't do any of that. You shut that shit down right away, period. Get ready for it. It's coming. I hope you're all listening. Spread the word around.
Listen to James.
All right, so I hope you're ready for it. I hope you heard that. Trump has walked out on stage, so we'll finish this afterwards. Let me just put it on, make sure he's not playing any music, and then we should be good to go. Yep, he's playing music. All right, so as he plays the music, I'm telling you guys, be ready. They keep popping up over and over, all my different feeds at the same time. I'm going to look at your comments, but I don't want you to take what you've seen thus far lightly. It's coming. It's not even an if at this point. It is coming. All right. So this is the Building America's Future. America's Your Future in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. It's a roundtable. I see Lee Zeldin there. I see Mike Huckabee. And it seems like the music has died down. And I guess they're going to talk and maybe take some questions from some business leaders as well. Let's listen in and enjoy.
Welcome, everyone. Well, it's too bad there's no enthusiasm in this crowd. We want to welcome everyone to this very special forum. Let me begin. There we go. Let me begin by just expressing that whoever came up with this entire event, they flunked geometry. This was told to be a round table discussion. There is nothing round about this table. It is a U shape for whoever designed it. But we're going to have a great time this afternoon as we talk about issues that really affect all of us. And I think that most Americans are beginning to fully understand that there are two kinds of people who get elected to public office. There are the people who get elected because they really want the people of the country to serve them. And then there are people who get elected because they truly want to serve the people of the country. Donald J. Trump is here to serve the people of America. Look, let me be honest with you folks. Donald Trump was not my first choice for president. I was my first choice for president. Would have been a good choice. But I was one of those 16 people that he obliterated on the stage back in 2016. But I'm going to tell you this. The moment I got out, there was...
Can everybody hear okay? I saw a couple people said they couldn't hear sound. Please let me know how the sound is.
And I know you want him to continue to be your president. Great man. No one who has ever been president has had the courage to face down the extraordinary giants of opposition that he's had to deal with. And I'm convinced that next Tuesday, when he wins and becomes not only the 45th, but the 47th president of the United States, this is going to be a time that we can celebrate of once again having a president that listens to the people rather than demands that the people just listen to him. and he serves us and works for us. A bottom-up government rather than a top-down government, and we're long overdue for it, that is for sure. Well, this afternoon, what a privilege to be here with 7 distinguished people from Southeast Pennsylvania, and also Congressman Lee Zeldin, the distinguished former congressman from New York, who is one of the smartest and most articulate people that we have in our political system today. But we're going to get started with this opportunity to just discuss some issues with some of these folks who live right here in your area. And I want to start with Donald Clark, who is right down here to my left. I don't think that's his political position to my left, although I don't think you could possibly be to my right, Donald. Not possible. He's a retired police lieutenant. He served 32 years with Upper Darby Township. He is going to be one of our panelists. And all of these folks are going to be talking. But before we get to the panelists, I know the person you came to hear was neither Donald Clark or me. It is our next president, ladies and gentlemen, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. It's great to be here. Yeah, this was supposed to be just a little group. We're talking about senior issues. There's a lot of people in here. Thank you very much. It's an honor. And I want to tell you, likewise, this man is a fantastic man. He has been from the day I met him, And he's smart, and he can be tough. Oh, he can be tough. He can be, you don't know that, right, Lee? We know. He can be a brutal guy, but always on the side of right. He's just a great guy, and he's been my friend. And I think we have never had we've never even had a spat, have we? With never. All the years, right?
Not once.
Very, very good man. And
I'm not that stupid. I'm not going to fight with you.
I love having him around, I'll tell you. I want to also thank, as you know, we have Congressman Lee Zeldin, who's fantastic. Almost did a big upset in New York. He ran against everybody's advice, and he pulled it. I mean, what you did was incredible. You showed it could be done, and maybe it can be done. We're going to find out in a few days. Because we had something the other night. It was incredible at Madison Square Garden. We could have filled it up many times. We could have filled that up, Mike, many times. We had it going down all the way down, the people all the way back, if you're familiar with it, all the way down to the Hudson River. And nobody's seen anything like it. Even the owners, good people, very good people. And they said, we've never seen anything like this. And they've had some pretty big championships there over the years, Madison Square Garden. And Wesley Hunt, a person with a tremendous future, great guy. Thank you, Wesley. And this is an election that's really a choice between whether or not we'll have 4 more years of total failure. This has been the worst 4 years I've ever seen. Gross incompetence, but total failure, disaster under Kamala Harris. Nobody knows I say all the time, if you say Harris, nobody knows who the heck we're talking about, right? Harris. And this is what we have, or whether we'll begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. And we're starting a little bit from behind because we've been set back badly in every single way with inflation. I mean, the costs are way too high. And inflation's still higher than it's supposed to be with all that they've done to try and get it down. But they use the number, Mike, 20%, but it's probably 40 or 50% if you really look. Look, interest rates with us were 2%, and now they're 10%, and you can't get the money. They don't include interest rates. That's a big deal if you're buying a house or anything else. And so many other things they don't include, just like they don't include in their crime statistics the places that have the worst crime. We had that during the debate where David Muir of ABC said, no, I said, crime is through the roof. He said, no, sir, it's down, crime is down. The next day they release it. I said, it's up 45%. And it's up, we have tremendous migrant crime. If you look at just that, it's been a disaster, a very dangerous crime. It's terrible what's happened at our border, what they've done to our country. At the border, Mike, I think it's interesting to say because every poll has inflation and the economy is the number one thing, and third is the border. I don't think it's that. I think inflation's horrible. It's destroying people. It's a country buster. But I don't think it's inflation. I don't think it's the economy. I think the number one thing is the border, that millions of people are being sent into our country. It was announced last week, you saw that, by the Border Patrol, which, by the way, endorsed me. They endorsed me so nicely. They've endorsed me every year, even though they're not supposed to. You know, I think they're not supposed to, and they said we have to do what we have to do. But we had the best border ever in the history of our country, and now we have the worst border in the history of the world. This is the worst border. There's never been a border like this. They have open border. Anybody can come in. When I heard they were going to do that, you know, we built 571 miles of wall. We had another 200 miles, far more than I said I was going to build. We had another 200 miles that was going to be, could have been put up in 3 weeks. It was all there, laying there, waiting to be lifted. Could have been put up in 3 to 4 weeks. And they said, we don't want to do it. And I said, wow, that's strange. If they don't want to do it, that means they must really want open borders. But I can't imagine wanting open borders. Who would want open borders? But they want open borders. Who would want men playing in women's sports? They want it. Who would want transgender operations for almost everybody in the world? They want them. This is a sick group of people, I'm telling you. And there's a great evilness. You know, we want to come together as a country, but there's a lot of evil there. There's a lot of, you'd say, why do they want it? And so there's basically 3 reasons. Number one is they're stupid, which they're not, because I can tell you in Lancaster County, which we know very well, they found 2,600 fake voter registrations. You heard that? It's a big story. Well, where is it now? I think we have a very good DA, and he's probably going to do his thing, and I hope he will, but it's all written by the same hand. Okay, maybe that's just coincidence. Maybe everybody has exactly the same handwriting, right? So we just found that. That was one. And then we have in York, I remember York, easy to remember, because I used to lift weights for about a week. It's good. Then I realized I don't want to do it. I realized I don't like it, Mike. And York was the barbells and all that stuff. I think that's moved to China, along with a lot of other things. Maybe we'll bring it back. We're going to tariff the hell out of them. We'll bring it back. I'd love to bring it back. No, it's true. I like to build things. So I'm building a gym. I'm building this gorgeous gym in my house, in the basement of my parents' house, and I'm putting it up. And I couldn't sleep at night. I was so excited. It was really beautiful. I'm really good at that. And then the barbells came, and I said, oh, this was no fun. I liked building the place. After it was built, they sat there for a long time. But I remember they came from York, PA, right? And it was big stuff. But the other reason, I mean, if you think, the other reason would be that they really would like to sign these people up to vote, right? And that's crazy. And the third reason would be they hate our country. Because who would want to have millions of people coming into our country? Many of them are murderers. Many of them are terrorists. Many of them are gang members from the street, MS-13, and almost worse. You know, the Venezuelan gangs are almost worse. And these countries are taking their prisons, and they're taking their prison population, putting them in buses, and bringing them to our border. Venezuela's got half their prison population has been brought to the United States of America and dumped like we're a garbage can for their people. And these are rough prisoners. These are really rough people. These are not people that you want to say, oh, gee, let's have dinner tomorrow night. These people are tough and mean, and they're coming into our country by the hundreds of thousands. And we have over 21 million people in 3.5 years. If they ever got possession, and you know, we have a real problem. We have to take these criminals out of this country. We have to deport these criminals, and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it. And I know this is very much a senior-oriented little meeting, but Mike and I were talking. I think this is the biggest senior issue. This is the biggest issue we have. They're destroying our country. They're ruining our country. You're not going to be able to walk outside anymore, and they're depositing them. So they were saying, Kamala was saying yesterday, no, I really think walls are fine. Well, For her whole life, walls are, forget it. And the only two things, remember, that work without obsolescence are walls and wheels, right? And walls work. And they worked with us, and they worked brilliantly with us. And she was against the wall. She voted against it. She sued us to try and have it taken down as we were building it. It was very hard to get approval. And what I did is I just said, you know, this is crazy, because I rebuilt the entire military, the entire U.S. military. They shouldn't have given a lot of it to Afghanistan. They gave a big chunk to Afghanistan in the most embarrassing moment. But we rebuilt the entire military. We're going to do it a little bit again because they've given a lot of it away. We defeated ISIS. We did all of these things. We got you the largest tax cut in the history of our country, the larger even than Ronald Reagan's tax cut, the largest regulation cuts. We had the best economy in the history of our country. We did so many things. And what we want to do is we want to make it's safe for everybody, for seniors. This is a big senior issue, but for seniors and all. These are people these are high-end criminals. They have 629,000, all released by everyone. These numbers were given to us by Border Patrol. They never did it before either. They never talked about specifically. They'd say a lot of people coming in, but they were given to us by Border Patrol. Hundreds of thousands of high-end criminals are released, and she's the border czar. She was put there by Sleepy Joe Biden, and then he went back to sleep. He said, oh, no, it's in good shape. And you know, and when they endorsed me, the question was asked of the top person who made a beautiful speech, Paul. I would call them all the time. I'd call them, how we doing on the border? Once a week, twice a week. I just like, you know, I was the president and they're destroying our country. And these guys are great. They want to do their job, but they're sort of not but I let them do their job. That's why we got the lowest number. But she said that, I said, did she call you often? No. Oh, in 3.5 years, how many times did she call? Thinking, you know, it'd be dozens. She never called. I said, wait a minute, she's the border czar. She's the one that's in charge of the border. She was put there by Biden. And she never called. No, sir, she never called one time. And when they endorsed me, they said he's the greatest president on the border, but he's the greatest president overall that we've ever had. I said, Mike, I said, does that include? I said, they said he's the greatest president we've ever had. And then one of them said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, I like the first one more that we've ever had. I said, so, greatest president that we've ever had. I said, does that include Abe Lincoln? Yes, sir. Does that include George Washington? Yes, sir. I said, that's good, right? But they also said, I mean, more importantly for purposes of this, they said the best border president, and without question, that I was that. I mean, I was that. So we're going to talk about some other things that frankly, in many cases, are a lot less interesting, because this is a big thing and it's very interesting. We had some people over at Mar-a-Lago today, and we had a press conference, and we had a mother who lost her beautiful 12-year-old daughter to a illegal migrant that came in, should have never been in the country. And we have them by the thousands. Lake and Riley, so many people, you know, Lake and Riley from Georgia. I could name 30 of them right now, and I've gotten to know in many cases the parents, they're just devastated. I don't know if they ever recover. I'm not sure that you ever recover from that, Mike, what they're going through. And I meet these people and they're just like devastated. And it's all because they have an open border policy. People come into our country from places unknown, and they just walk in. They just walk right through everybody. And nobody wants this. Nobody can want this. How do you win an election with this? You only can win elections if you cheat with this. Who wants that? Who wants all the stuff that they do? All the transgender stuff, all of the woke military. We don't have a woke military. Let me tell you, we have a great military. They knocked out ISIS in a matter of weeks. When I was there, they said it was going to take five years. It took about 4 weeks. And they'll never be woke, by the way. These are people, I got to know them very well. These are not woke people. You have guys like Milley on the top, who should have been fired immediately. No, I mean, he should have been fired. Whoever was involved with Afghanistan in that horrible period of time, that horrible day, but it was a little more than a day, where we lost 13 great soldiers. They They never talk about the ones that lost the arms, the legs, the face was obliterated. They never talk about them. They act like, oh, this is fine. It's not fine. We had many people lost their legs, and many people died, and many people on the other side died. I count them too. I mean, people on the other side, hundreds of people died that day, and it should have never taken place. We gave up Bagram. When you leave, you take the soldiers out last. You don't take the soldiers. They took the soldiers out first. Our soldiers came out first, and it was totally just a horrible situation. And I think Mike Putin saw that, and he said, well, these people, they're a paper tiger. Let's go into Ukraine. I know Putin would never have done it if I was president. There's not even a chance. No, it's not a chance. I used to talk to him about it. Don't do it, Vladimir. Don't do it. I know there was the apple of his eye. Say, don't do it, Vladimir. Don't do it. Oh, this is going to be terrible, Vladimir, if you do that. Not going to be good. You know, don't forget, I ended their pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 until I came along. They were building the biggest pipeline in the world to Germany and all over Europe. And I said, no, you're not going to do it. You mean we're defending you from Russia and you're paying Russia billions of dollars a month for oil and gas? We're not going to do that. I mean, it's so ridiculous under NATO. And we stopped it. And then Biden comes in, he approved it, but he stopped the Keystone pipeline, which we needed. That's our pipeline. He stopped that, but he approved. And then they say, Trump wasn't that tough on Russia. I was so tough on Russia. It was the biggest project they've ever had. I stopped it. And so we have a country that's been run by fools. It's been run by stupid people, low IQ individuals. They really are. They're low IQ. He was low IQ. Biden was a low IQ guy 35 years ago. He was a low IQ guy when he went to school, when he went to college. He was always a low IQ guy, but he put somebody in who's actually worse than him. And if we put her in office, this country's finished. I really believe it. This country is finished. One of the reasons the stock market's going up, Scott Bessent, who's one of the biggest, most respected people on Wall Street, he's a very brilliant guy. Of course, if he said differently, I probably wouldn't be saying this. But he said the only reason the stock market's going up is because everybody on Wall Street thinks that Trump is going to win the election. I think that's true. So we have to keep you safe. In addition, from a medical standpoint, Mike, we have to keep them safe physically from these people that are coming in. And we're going to do I don't like doing this, but we're going to do the largest deportation in the history of our country. We're going to get all of these criminals out. And it's not going to be easy. And, you know, I say that, and you know who has the record? Dwight Eisenhower. And I call him a moderate, but he hated to see people coming in from other countries and violating our borders. He was right. But he was a very big deporter. He deported people when they walked into our country. He'd take them out. And he has the record, and I don't. It's not a record that I want either. We all have a heart, but we have no choice. Now you have also, and you also have others. And we'll also finish that. No, we're going to put up sections of the wall that would have been put up in a matter of weeks. It could have. You know what they did with this wall? Much of it they sold for 5 cents on the dollar for scrap metal, and we're going to have to buy it again. But we're not going to pay 5 cents. We're going to pay a lot. It was a very expensive. This was a wall designed specifically for it. In fact, I often talk about it. I never liked the panel on top. You know what it was called? An anti-climb panel. It looked beautiful when you had but when you put the panel on top, it didn't look as good. And I said, why do you do that? They said, it's anti-climb. I said, I don't believe it is. And we actually had mountain climbers and drug climbers. We got a couple of them. It's unbelievable. They can carry a 100-pound sack on their back, but they can go up that thing. You and I could never do that, I think. You and I could. No, they go up it like it's nothing. And actually, the anti-climb panel worked. So I said, good. So it was built specifically out of steel, concrete, and rebar, and hardened steel, very hardened concrete. So we built so many miles of it, and it worked. And we had the best. And by the way, Mexico did pay. They paid a big price. They weren't able to pay for the wall, but they gave us tens of thousands of soldiers. I said to the president, you're letting these people into our country. You have to give us soldiers to protect us while we're building the wall. I can't do that. I can't do that. I said, if you can't do that, then I'm going to put tariffs on every product that you make, and we're going to charge you 25% back. And he said to me, like I said, I'd love to do that. That's what happened. Millions and millions, maybe billions, but millions and millions of dollars they spent on, they gave us, and I said, free. I don't want to pay for your soldiers. I want it free because they're coming through your country, into our country. And we did a lot of things. We did great things. And very important was the rebuilding of our military. But in part of the rebuilding, I said, look, this is an invasion into our country because you couldn't deal with Congress. You had guys like Mitch McConnell and others that were just absolutely terrible. I tell you, he can be Republican. He can be. I'm a person that says it like it is. And guys that were really not on our side very much. And I will tell you, I said, this is an invasion of our country. I'm going to take it out of the military because the military had a tremendous. I was able to get tremendous amounts of money to rebuild our military. We have jets that were 50 years old. Mike would often hear stories where you had the bombers where the grandfather flew the plane, the son flew the plane, and then the grandchild was flying the plane. The same plane. It was like so old. And we rebuilt almost our entire military. We're going to be upgrading that. So we did a lot of things, and we did a lot of things medically. One thing I'd like to talk about is right to try. So do you know what that is? I hope nobody in the room needs it. But we have the best labs, doctors, technicians, but our laboratories are the best for new medicines and everything. They're really amazing. But you can't get it approved. I mean, and rightfully, you can't get it by the FDA. They can't stand me, by the way. I used to push them. I got it down from 12 years to 5 years, but they need certain times. I mean, they do need. I want everything to be rushed, but you can't necessarily do that. But we have a situation where we have things that are really good. We're pretty sure they work. They may not, but we're pretty sure they work. And I said, why isn't it, if a person's terminally ill, why can't they use this stuff that may or may not work? Sir, it's been going on 48 years. They couldn't get it worked out. The country didn't want it because our country would be sued. The insurance companies definitely didn't want it. The labs didn't want it because they didn't want a terminally ill person to be using, something that's going to be like show badly, where they have to put it down. They have to do their lists, and they didn't want to be, they call it a list. They didn't want to be on the list. Somebody's terminally ill and dies and using the medicine, and I understand that. So I got everybody in a room, every one of the doctors, the labs, the insurance companies, and even the country representatives, the Justice Department. They all came in because they couldn't get it done. And I said, here's what we do. Somebody can use it. And these people were going all over the world. They were going to Asia, they were going to Europe. If they had money, and they would get scammed many times, but they go all over the world. We couldn't do it here. And most of them, though, had no money, and they'd go home and they'd die. I'd say, look, if somebody's terminally ill, I want to give them a shot at life. It's a great feeling, at least. At least they can say, well, I've got something, and maybe it'll work, and maybe it won't. But what, the expression, what the hell do we have to lose? Somebody's terminally ill. Why? They were saying, we'll be sued. I said, you're not going to be sued. So we worked out, and it didn't take that long. After 48 years, within a period of about a month, and then I got it approved by Congress, believe it or not, we could get things done. But think of this, we got it approved, and everybody agreed. Anybody that signed that document, you wouldn't sue anybody. If something happened to your family, the family would sign, the person would sign. No liability for anybody, and you have the right to try. We have saved thousands and thousands of people. And it's very interesting. Some of the biggest proponents of it now are the people that fought it the hardest to get it, like the laboratories, the medical companies, because it actually showed that it worked. People are terminally ill, and in many cases, they came back, they had absolutely no problems, they have no disease, they have no anything. It's called right to try. We did that. Nobody thought we could get it approved. We got it approved. They signed a waiver of liability, and which in business you sort of do. But I got everybody into a room. I said, we got to do this. And we've used, I have a person who works for me was saved because of that. A very great person that works for me was saved because of right to try. There was no medicine. There was nothing was going to work, but there was a space age something, a medicine that they were going to use and that they did use. And it saved millions of lives, all these different things that they're developing. And in some cases, it doesn't work. But in many cases, it does. I would say in many more cases, it does. So, Mike, we saved thousands and thousands of lives. And again, I hope nobody in this room needs it, but it's awfully good. It's awfully good. At least it gives you a hell of a shot, and it turned out to be really amazing. So I'd like to ask Mike to now take over and go around the room. I'd love to hear from Ed and Ted and everybody, and we'll see how we're doing, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. President, you certainly just gave us a good reason to be happy about next Tuesday. You reminded us why you've been fighting for the people. And every one of these folks who are here at the table are here because they live in this area. They all come from different perspectives, but they have a unique understanding of what's needed in this country and why we need you to be back in the White House. And I'm going to start with Donald Clark. He's a retired police lieutenant. He served 32 years. And he did a variety of roles from patrol officer, field training officer, K-9 officer, was on the SWAT team. I think it's interesting, Donald, you were in the police business 32 years, you've been married 36. You might tell us which was the hardest of those two careers, but I want you to speak specifically.
Don't do it. You can get yourself in trouble. He wanted to be cute. I've done that. Don't do it. Say, I love my wife very much.
The police was... You'll be careful on this.
Good answer.
But speak to the issue of crime. Would you go back into police work today knowing the kind of challenges police officers face that maybe weren't faced then? And then as a retiree, how difficult it is to live on retirement income given the economy that we currently have?
I'll be totally honest, I would not want to go back and work on the street again. I spoke with a lot of my colleagues, and the biggest thing that is really challenging now is it's burnout, the inability of retention and recruitment of the officers that we need due to the lack of respect and hatred towards the law enforcement prevalent in our big cities today. Coupled with that is the lack of support from administration, budget cuts, and the lenient and soft on crime policies of the district attorney's office in those cities. In turn, a trickle-down effect into the surrounding communities comes down from this. And just because Philadelphia has it, now all of a sudden Upper Darby has the same issues. And then with this, it's forcing law enforcement to do more with less. And the one thing I always told my officers when I was on in roll call was, everybody showed up to work tonight, everybody goes home tonight. And what we need is to be back to law and order.
Yep. Right. Thank
you. Now that I'm retired, and I retired in 2020, and I do have a good pension, but it is a fixed income. My wife, who is a registered nurse, Lori, she retired in 2022. But with the unstable economy, the high cost of living, high inflation, we were not comfortable with what we had put away for our savings for retirement. So Lori took another job, and actually she just retired last week. But we were not comfortable with what we had in our savings, and we weren't sure how far it was going to go. And if less things changes with this economy right now, I don't know if I'm going to have enough when I do, if I'm going to live that long. So,
yeah. It's terrible. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Maribel Valdez was born in Puerto Rico and came to the United States. Came to the United States when she was 17 and got her doctorate in occupational therapy. She spent nearly 40 years as an occupational therapist, working primarily with the elderly in nursing homes, rehabilitation centers, and home health. In private practice, she was a Medicare and Medicaid provider for occupational therapy services. So Maribel, you have had a lot of experience working with Medicare, both as a provider and now as a customer. Would you mind speaking to your experience working with the 1-800 Medicare hotline?
Mr. President, I just wanted to tell you that I moved here in 1981 from Puerto Rico, and I want you to know that Puerto Rico stands behind you, and Puerto Rico loves you.
Well, we love it. I know it very well, and we helped you through a lot of bad storms, I'll tell you. We had some really bad ones. You remember you were there when I brought the hospital ship against everyone's advice, and we got it in there and took care of a lot of people. But I think no president's done more for Puerto Rico than I have. So thank you. That's really nice of you to say. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mary.
My experience with the 1-800 Medicare line has actually been very positive. As a customer, I was pleasantly surprised. The wait time is really no longer than about 10 minutes. The automated system tells you how long you're going to wait, and if you do not want to wait, they will call you back. You could leave your message and they will call you back, and they call you back promptly. It also tells you when the height of calls is at, so if you want to call on a different day when they don't have that many calls, you could call on that day. The information has always been very helpful. It has been my experience. They share a lot of resources with me. They take their time. They even go through the website and say, let's go to Medicare.gov and let me show you which page you could find this information. If I'm not by my computer, they will email me the publication or the policy for me to look at later. So I have had a really good experience. And right now, especially, is open enrollment from October 15th through December 31st. I always call during open enrollment because there's always changes coming up, and I have never had any difficulty.
And Maribel, what would you think if I was to tell you that the Biden-Harris administration was seeking to end as we know it, this exceptional customer service that you love?
I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, what will happen during open enrollment if I have heard that there's an upcoming change to my Medicare benefits and that they're going to change, and I have nowhere to call? Or nobody replies to my phone call, or I had to maybe only go to the internet and rely on information that is not accurate or reliable, you know?
Yeah, could I ask a question? So
Sure.
I'm watching how sharp and smart and beautiful you are. And we're not allowed to say that, you know, politically. That's the end of your career. But she is beautiful. But I'm just watching, and I see it says retired. Why are you retired? You should not be retired. You got a lot of strength.
Unfortunately, I was at a grocery store shopping, and I passed out. I had an aneurysm in my brain that I didn't know I have. And it caused me to have a stroke, and I had to retire. So I'm currently on Medicare as a consumer because I'm too disabled to be able to do my job, but I still work part-time, 15 to 20 hours a week.
You look fantastic. Thank you. Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, as you know, the Biden-Harris administration's forced unionization of this critical hotline is going to hurt seniors to reward their big union bosses. If it's okay, Mr. President, we wanted to ask you, when you're back in the White House, will you be able to talk about your plans to put seniors ahead of these special interests to make sure that we protect 1-800 Medicare?
Well, they are special interests, there's no question about it, but there are no special interests with me. I don't care. I don't need it. I don't need the money. I don't need anything. I want to do what's right, but Maribel's going to be my consultant. She's only the special interest. She's going to be my consultant. All right, you let me know. You know more than those guys that get paid a lot of money doing what you do, and you do it so well. It's really great. Thank you very much. Yeah, the answer is absolutely. We'll do what's right.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Maribel.
You're welcome, sir.
I love the idea that you're going to use her as a consultant. I think that's smart, and
I
it's
like it.
also one of the reasons that people recognize that you listen to people who are actually in the middle of something. We have a couple with us here today, Joe Rooney and his wife Beth, both of whom have been military aviators. Joe, a Marine Corps pilot, career. The Marines are here. We're in good shape. He retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. He's then flown for Delta Airlines for many years in the private sector. His wife, Beth, pretty remarkable life. 24 years as a naval aviator, the very first U.S. Navy female jet test pilot ever. Retired as a commander. Very impressive, both of them. They've served our country honorably and very significantly, and I think I'll just ask them as a couple to express, in terms of speaking to the president, tell him which one of you is the better pilot. That's what we really want to know.
I'll answer that. My husband has retired, and I'm still flying. No question.
There you go.
Great.
What do you hope from the president in terms of policies that will affect people who are retired, whether they're military or private sector? But you've both done your service for this country.
I'll start out, if that's okay. And if you don't mind, I'll make a quick digression. Mr. President, have you ever seen the movie True Grit?
Yes.
With John Wayne?
Yes.
So it was my honor to live under you and help to get you elected 8 years ago. And then I watched those 4 years. And I have seen what's happened in the intervening 4 years to everything that was done with you leading up to the calamity of Butler, PA. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you have true grit, okay?
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
It is our honor to do all we can. I live in Montgomery County and Abington Township, and the GOP in Montgomery County and Abington Township is working every day from now through November 5th to get you elected. And we're doing it. So,
Joe, thank you very much. That's really nice.
I know I digress, but I honestly mean it. And my wife will add some more. But you asked about how we can help seniors. Mr. President, for 4 years, you showed us what a strong economy looks like. A strong economy helps seniors. A strong economy helps people on fixed income. A strong economy helps people who are below the average amount of money or maybe struggling, and we have them in our own neighborhood. What a strong economy we need is low energy prices, and I know you're all for low energy. We need an all-of-the-above solution. We need nuclear, we need natural gas, we need coal, we need electrical coming from wind, and we need it from water and everywhere else that we can get it. But it's all of the above. That will lower our prices for food prices, gasoline prices, the prices that seniors and fixed income people pay in the wintertime, and basically it's going to lower inflation, which is the tax that cripples us all. And we had that before, and we'll have that with you. From what I understand of the Harris plan, it consists of two things. One is divide people, and the second one is raise taxes. That doesn't solve anything, and any economist will tell you, you tax things, you get less of it. You lower the taxes on things, you get more of it. And the other thing I'd like to say, and folks, I hope you understand this, Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota is one of only 10 states that tax Social Security income at the state level. So she chose him. So for all of us in Pennsylvania, we don't have that right now. What can we expect? That is anti-fixed income. That is anti-senior. And I'm afraid that that's what we may look forward to. And the last thing I'll ask you, just because I don't know the answer to this, what does 10 million plus illegal aliens coming into our country look forward to as far as the Social Security Trust Fund is concerned, as far as Medicare is concerned? How can we look at our own kids and go forward and say, we have any idea about it? Because nobody does. This is a catastrophe. So those are my thoughts.
Well, they're good thoughts. And the only mistake that this great husband of yours made was it's not 10 million, it's probably 21 million, which is, and that doesn't include the gotaways. You know what a gotaway is? That's the people that just pour in and, they're all pouring in. And we're not going to stand for it, number one. And number two, Number two, we can't. And you know, the reason they come is because we say we'll give you, I mean, they actually tell them we're going to give you health care, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you Social Security, we're going to give you education. We have a community in Springfield, Ohio, with 32,000 illegal migrants were put into a 50,000 person community, and you can't get into the hospitals, you can't get into the schools, you can't do anything. It's a disaster. And it's all got to change. It's not sustainable. I mean, it's not, you had a nice community, Springfield. And now it's, you heard about this, Mike, 32,000 illegal migrants. Now, they sort of made it legal by playing cutesy with the law, but they're illegal migrants. And it's just not sustainable. This is happening all over the country. In terms of pricing, what you're really alluding to is drill, baby, drill. Because when we bring the energy costs down, everything's coming down. And we have more energy under our feet than any other country, including Saudi Arabia and Russia. And we were, as you know, energy independent 4 years ago, and now it's a mess. We're buying tar, big bets of tar from Venezuela, and we're refining it. It's a mess. And we have the best energy, we're the best oil, we have the most oil, and we don't want to use it. We want to go and give money. You know, Venezuela is the enemy, and we now are making them a very rich enemy. It's not even believable what they're doing. They don't know what the hell they're doing, but we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to use our stuff. We don't need anybody else's. And we're going to open up Anwar in Alaska, which is as big as Saudi Arabia, they say, the biggest in the world. I got it open. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. For 60 years, they couldn't do it. I got it done. And Biden comes in and he decides to not let it happen. I'll get that thing open so fast, we'll supply to everybody, and we'll start paying down our debt and all of those good things. But your costs are going to come down. You bring energy. Energy is really more than anything else. It was their spending, but it was also energy. That's really what brought up the cost, because energy, you need it for everything. If you make donuts, you need it for the stove, you need it for the trucks, for delivery, you need. And we're going to have so much energy. And one of the pledges that I make is that we are going to have energy costs, which are very high right now. And that includes gasoline. We're going to get rid of the mandate, by the way, the electric mandate for your cars. That's going to come off. And that's great. You know, if somebody wants an electric car, I mean, Elon Musk gave me the biggest endorsement you've ever seen, and his cars are great. But not everybody needs to have an electric car or wants to have an electric car. You're going to be able to get hybrids, you get regular gasoline-powered cars, but we're going to bring your energy costs down by 50% within 1 year. By the way, it's going to be easy. We can do it. Nobody else can because we have so much. It's right under us. Even in New York State, they don't realize that New York State is sitting on a tremendous amount, and if they used it, Lee would, I told Lee, Lee would have opened that up in 2 seconds. They don't want to drill for the environment. And the people in Pennsylvania, they're sitting there, they have a Cadillac, and the people across the line is right here, and they don't have a car. And it's just absolutely, we have so much energy in this country. We're going to bring down the prices. That'll bring down everything else, and you'll be in great shape. But that's fantastic. I'm fascinated by your wife. So they say that as a pilot, the hardest thing you can do is land on an aircraft carrier. Have I heard, is that a correct statement? Do you land on an aircraft carrier?
Yes, in fact, that's...
You got to be kidding. She might be better than you.
All the airplanes have hooks on the back, so you got to use them. So
right.
Go land a carrier.
That's fantastic. It's a great story. Thank you very much, both. Appreciate it.
All right. Ed Grove is a telecom union member and a proud American patriot. I understand he's also a talented musician and singer, a jack of all trades, and the proud father of 4 grown children. Ed, you're a longtime telecom union member, and we see a lot of unions acting far more political than they ever have in the past. And it's interesting that it seems like a lot of union leaders are not aligned with the rank and file.
That's true.
In your personal opinion, do you see this where union leaders, with regards to political matters, are in conflict with their leadership?
First of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ed.
It's a great honor to be here. Yep. In my personal opinion, of course, I can't speak for the unions, but there is a silent majority. The political stuff we really don't care about. Being represented is what matters most to us. Personally, I just don't believe union bosses speak for all union membership. I support Donald Trump because he supports keeping manufacturing jobs in-house.
Yes. Good.
It was proven in your first term. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You also take care of the American worker instead of going overseas or out of country to do so. Very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed. Very nice. I appreciate it. Lee is alluding to the fact that the Teamsters took a vote and 61%, this is nationwide, 62% of them support Trump.
Yes, they do.
And they have a very good head. They have a man named Sean O'Brien, who's a great guy. He's the head of it. And but he released those numbers, which is
Yes.
something I appreciated very much. And
Absolutely.
the firefighters, the same thing. They support me, the rank and file, so we have a lot of the unions beyond that. I think the auto workers in Detroit, we're going to bring back a lot of plants into Michigan. We're going to bring them back very fast. And you probably read, Mike, where I they were building a giant plant in Mexico, sponsored and owned by China. And I let them know, and that would have destroyed Michigan. This plant would have made as many cars as all of Michigan. This was going to be the largest plant in the world, and I let them know, you build that plant, and we're going to put the biggest tariffs on those cars you've ever seen. And, that was about 2 weeks ago. They've just announced they're not going to build the plant. That's a great thing, isn't that good? Now, if they want to build it in the U.S., that's okay, Ed. If they want to build it, Mike, in the U.S., that's okay. But they're not going to build it in another country and send the cars in here and destroy all of that. That's what's happening. That's what's been happening for 50, 60 years. So China just announced they're not going to build the plant. I'm very happy about that. Thank you very much, China.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Great honor.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I want to introduce you to Dr. Kathleen McGuire. She is just to my right here. She has a very esteemed academic career in gerontology, but I think she brings something else to the table, not just the academic study of gerontology, but more importantly, she cared for her own mother for 2.5 years. And Dr. McGuire, if you could express, when you went from the academic side, studying and teaching others about gerontology, and then taking care of your mother, what were the big challenges, and what kind of assistance did you find from the government when you were trying to be the caregiver to your own mom?
Thank you. I appreciate being invited here. The challenges were not being able to navigate the system, not knowing how to navigate the system. Yes, I taught the class, but it's different when it's your own family member. You can tell everybody else how to do this, make sure you give them resources here, but if you don't know it yourself, that's even more difficult. When you live that experience, living with my mom, and I'll tell you, it was very challenging, and I'll tell you a little bit about her history. What happened was that she was living alone in the Pocono Mountains, on a mountain, 100 miles away from family. She was a widow, trying to keep up her house. And according to the Department of Human Services, she was not able to get any assistance because she was not under the federal poverty level. Even though she was on a fixed income, getting Social Security, and she had an Advantage plan, which was also more money. She had one big asset, and that asset was her home. So she was asset rich and cash poor. All right? So it was difficult. She wanted to live there, and she wanted to die there. But it was more difficult. She had to make difficult decisions. Do I pay my taxes, which she had to pay her taxes. She had to pay association fees. She had to pay utility bills with $1,400 a month, maybe. She had to pay for food, maybe. And she had to come up with a decision. What do I do? Do I maintain my home or do I eat? She chose to maintain her home rather than her well-being. She decided, as her health deteriorated, we brought her back to my house in Bucks County, Upper Southampton, rather than Lower Southampton. Not far from Mickey D's where you were. Yes.
Right.
Nice job, by the way.
Thank you.
And that whole day was very well appreciated.
Thank you.
And so she was not really willing. If you get to a certain age, my mom was 83 years old, they don't want to leave their home. She wanted to stay in her home. She wanted to die in her home, but she was not safe anymore to be alone. And so we had to quickly find out and navigate the Medicare system. And so what we found for my mother and maybe for other seniors, because remember she was asset rich and cash poor, that Medicare does not pay for adult care services, adult daycare services, hospice. She was in the hospital in April. If I wanted to switch her from this room to another room, $14,000 a month. Cash, okay? All right? She came to us and she didn't have there was no respite care. That is not covered. Home care assistance is not covered, and you have to have basically 4 hours of service from these, agencies. So what happened was that I'm fortunate enough and very proud of my immediate family. We became the caretakers. We became the elder care supporters. My family supported her. It was challenging sometimes. It was a team effort. She was able to get to her doctor's visits, go to the dentist. Any money that she didn't have or couldn't pay, our family supported her. She had 3 meals a day. She had significantly lost a lot of weight. She was down to 100 pounds at 5'6". Well, she'll probably less than that as you shrink. But she gained 20 pounds with us. Gained 20 pounds, had to buy new clothing. Yep. Thank God that's for my son's cooking. But she wasn't allowed to leave the table until she finished everything. So that was, what goes around comes around, right? All her activities of daily living were supported by us. We took her everywhere she needed to go. She was my best bud. She went with me door knocking. She did.
That's
I had
very
signs.
nice. I knew I liked her.
83 years old, door knocking. Sometimes
Very
I'd
nice,
leave her in
thanks,
the car and I forgot that she was there. I was too busy talking. But she was with me, wasn't she? But the most important thing, because, Medicare, we had a difficult time. She had her family, and that is who her support was. And unfortunately, it took 2.5 years for being assigned a case manager to help us. Did that work? After 6 weeks of being into a facility, she had passed away. And at lower than, probably about 100 pounds. But you know what? It's difficult to navigate this system. And it's difficult when you need help and assistance because there's no one there to help you. And I'm very proud of my family for that. So asset rich and cash poor.
What did they do with the house? What happened with the house?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was showing somebody pictures earlier.
See, I'm in the real estate business, so it's always interesting.
Yeah. My mom, she lived in the Poconos, and what happened was I was there one day visiting my son in New York, and I came home, I noticed mold. There was black mold all over, and she was hiding it. So we had to take the whole roof off. You could look into the house, sheetrock off, everything off during the winter. And so her utility bills were $1,000 a month. So what did I say? She ended up with $1,400 maybe to $1,200, $1,000 for her utilities. What did she have left to pay for the rest of her bills? So as the work progressed, now insurance does not cover a new roof.
Right.
So as the work progressed, the workers walked off the job, off the construction job, went out of business with her money, and did not finish the job. So the house now is sitting there. Not sitting there, we were going through her things, which is the worst, horrible thing to have to go through. Going through her things, and we're gonna have to put it up for sale. And
A good area for
in the
sale.
Poconos, Albrightsville, right by Hickory, if anybody knows where Hickory
that's
runs,
good.
State Park, a Big Boulder, Lake Harmony. Yes.
Good.
Yep.
That's good. Well,
Mr. President,
Thank you.
you announced a tax break for Americans like
Yes.
Dr. McGuire that people have served as caregivers. So, I mean, it's like you've already thought about how that could
I did.
help her.
It was suggested to me by a very smart reporter, if you can believe this, right? There's some smart ones out there, good one actually, a good person, and suggested a tax deduction for caregivers because you devote the time as a family to it, and if you had to hire people, I mean, you wouldn't have enough people. You wouldn't be able to do it. Families take care of their children. When we have service members coming back from wars, sometimes the wives don't want to do it. They won't. Bad things happen. You understand? They come back and they're injured, badly injured. The mother takes care of the son and has to take care of the son for a long period of time. It's very sad when you see it happening. They go out to war and they come back and they have problems, difficulties. And so I want to make it so that we're getting tax credits for those people that take care of people, because honestly, if these people, a lot of them are called angel moms, and they're called a lot of different things, but they're beautiful names, actually beautiful names. They're beautiful people, and not everybody's like that, to be honest with you. But when we have people like that, I think they should be given that tax credit that we talked about. I mentioned it the other night at Madison Square Garden. It's great.
If some families are the caretakers have to leave their jobs as well.
Right.
I'm on a Social Security. I'm over
Will you be
age.
able to finish the house yourself? Will you be able to?
My husband, who's behind me, and my children will probably finish the work, and we're trying to.
Well, if you need a little extra, am I allowed to do this? I will, because I'm not in office now, so I could do it. But you'll come to me a little bit, okay? You'll call up Mike Wilson. So if you need a little extra, we'll help you out. Okay? All right? You left, and I'll have him be the guy to figure it out. All right? All right, Mike? Beautiful. That's a beautiful story. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely. You're a lovely woman. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Appreciate
I'm glad the pilots didn't give me any story like that, right? Thank you. Well, good luck with it. Beautiful story.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. And grief is hard.
No. That sounds like a great mother, actually, right?
We were very close. My mother was very young when she had she hates it when I say it, and I hope she sees this, my older sister. She's only about 15 months older. And so, yes, she was my best friend, basically.
That's great. Beautiful story. Thank you.
Everywhere.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Mr. President, as I introduce our last panelist here, it's a little closer to our heart with Wesley, fellow Army veteran, as I introduce a fellow 82nd Airborne Division veteran, Ted Murphy. There are a lot of military branches up here well represented, but at this event that has a lot of seniors, we have one person in particular who is a member of our nation's greatest generation. He served in the Pacific from 1944 to 1946. Ed Buffman is here. Ed.
He's great. Thank you, Ed. I saw Ed backstage, by the way. It looks like he's like 60. Ed is great. He's got the best skin. I said, what do you do with your skin? It's so beautiful. Look at you. He's got good hair. He's got the whole package. Am I allowed to say your age? Am I allowed to say that? No. You'd be shocked. It's great to be with you. You are a character, too. He's got his beautiful wife. But you are really something. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me stand up, Mr. President. Thank you, Ed. He's a great guy.
Mr. President, it was an honor to be with you in Normandy for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And I remember sitting behind President Trump. You had these risers filled with World War II veterans, and they were all hollering after you, trying to get your attention. The amount of love with all of these veterans there at that moment. I've had the opportunity, I signed up in the military when President Clinton was in office, serving with different commanders-in-chief. There has never been a commander-in-chief who has had the back of our military service members like President Trump. And our veterans have never had a commander-in-chief who's had our back like President Trump.
Thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you very much.
And we need to get you back next Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
USA!
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Ted Murphy comes from a family of military service. Ted has served his country in uniform in the U.S. Army, in government at the Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security, as well as inside of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Philadelphia and with ICE National Security Law Division in D.C. He is one of the top immigration attorneys in the country. So Ted, as a top immigration expert and as a veteran, can you speak to the impact of illegal immigration on the safety of our citizens?
Yes.
Thank you for having us here today to listen to these important issues. As mentioned, I come from a family of veterans. I'm one of 7 siblings. 5 of us were active duty, 3 are retired military. My 2 sons are medically retired from the military. And even my mother, at the age of 55, she joined the medical reserve services with the Army and served until the age of 69. Ended up as a field commander in Bosnia. Included in that group are 4 paratroopers and 2 combat medics. And those are just the guys. The tough ones are my mother and my sister. So, veterans, it's taking 5 months now to process our medical claims. It's taking a long time. Claims that shouldn't take that long. Veterans desperately need care when they apply for those services. But at the same time, the VA staff are being used to process medical claims for those thousands of individuals who come across the border illegally who are detained by immigration along the southern border, taking time that should be devoted to processing veterans' medical claims. In the past 2 years, nearly 1.5 million illegal immigrants who were paroled into the United States are eligible immediately for taxpayer-funded housing through HUD, other public benefits to include SSI, Medicaid, CHIP, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, while at the same time, low-income and homeless veterans seeking benefits through the VA and HUD are often denied by those programs or moved out of those facilities to make room for immigrants.
It's not even possible. That's what they're doing. It's not even possible to believe, actually.
With Homeland Security transferring millions of the other illegal immigrants throughout the United States with no federal funding available, the cost for their housing, medical care, and education falls on states and local governments as unfunded mandates, depleting resources and funding available not only for our veterans and our seniors, but for all of our citizens. As a former federal immigration prosecutor and private attorney, I know that many of those entering illegally include persons involved in drug cartels, gangs, sex trafficking, human trafficking, and much more. Homeland Security personnel have admitted that very few are properly vetted, yet they've been allowed to come into the United States and are continuing their trades here. That puts all of us at risk. So, Mr. President, after you win your re-election, how fast can we address these issues?
Well, you know, we'll do it immediately. So I think I mentioned before that we have the highest rating of anybody in maybe ever at the VA. We did a lot of things. We also did something where we were allowed to get rid of civil servants that were really bad people that were, and I love civil servants, but this was a group of civil servants, a certain percentage, turned out to be 9,000 people. We got rid of them and we put people that could take care of our, these were sadists. These were people that treated the vets unbelievably. I mean, these are sick people. and we fired them and we replaced them with people that can take care of our people, that love our country and love our vets. It was a great thing. We'll get it done fast. You mentioned the word parole. That's a word they use now. They bring people in and they just say, you're paroled. And now they're all of a sudden like it's supposed to be some form of citizenship. That's what they're doing in Springfield, Ohio. 32,000 people. They're under parole, and people that are in this country. And you take a look at, they're putting a lot of the people that come in illegally. And some of these people are really, I'm trying to be nice, these are really rough people. Our soldiers are laying out on the streets in New York and other cities. And these people are walking through the main entrance of a hotel that's right there. They're laying here, and the people are walking right by them, and they're going into hotel rooms, in some case luxury hotel rooms. The government's paying a fortune to these hotel companies that have them. The hotel company no longer, they don't even want to deal with regular people anymore. They get a bigger check than they've ever made in their life. They're making more money than they ever made in their lives running it as a migrant hotel. But you have veterans that are sleeping on the streets outside. It's freezing or it's hot, and it's all going to be changed, Ted. But, I mean, you brought it up beautifully, but I'm glad you mentioned the word parole, because that's a bad word right now. That's a bad word to a lot of people right now. They're using that word to get people illegally into this country, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much. We'll take care of it. We're going to work on it fast.
President, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being willing to put yourself out there for us. You could have had such an easier life if you weren't doing this for us. You sacrificed so much. God bless you. Any final thoughts, Mr. President?
Well, thank you. Now, first of all, you're a fantastic young guy, and he's a great lawyer, great everything, and a very successful congressman, and he's a friend of ours, and he's really been great, Mike. I know how you feel about him, but I appreciate it. And Wesley, likewise. You didn't get a chance to speak as much. I was going to say, let's let him speak for about a half an hour, because he's a very impressive guy, but he doesn't need to do that. Just to say that we're going to take care of things. We're going to do things. And, you are right. I didn't need this. I could have been on the most beautiful beaches in the world. I could have had a wonderful life like some other people. I would have had but if I had it to do again, a lot of people say, if you had it to do again, and Joe was nice enough to mention they've been brutal, these people. They are horrible people. A lot of them are just absolutely horrible people that do not love our country. But if I had it to do again, would I rather be on the beach with the water, that beautiful salt water hitting me in the face, my white skin getting all nice and tanned? Or would I rather be here with you in Pennsylvania, making sure that people aren't going to cheat on the vote? And I will take you and Pennsylvania every single day. I will do it. No. And the reason is, Joe, and the reason is Lee and Wesley and Mike, and it's so great that we're all together because we've all been friends for a long time. But the reason is that we're going to make America great again. We're going to do something that nobody, a lot of people were worried about our country. This country is in very bad shape. We're a failing nation. We really are. We're a nation in decline, as some people would say. But we are a nation in decline, and we're not going to be a nation in decline for long. We're going to turn it around very fast, and we're going to make America great again. And I want to just thank everybody. And it's a real honor. The spirit, you see the spirit, Mike, it's incredible. The spirit that we have right here. It's all over. It's all over the country. And there's a word called hope. People really want, we did great the first time. We did much better the second time we ran in 2016 than we ran. And as you know, we did much better. We got millions more votes, but there's never been anything like this, the spirit. And part of it is that, let's assume I haven't changed that much. I had these similar ideas and everything, but they see how badly our country's run. It's being destroyed by incompetent fools. And we're not going to let it happen. We're going to turn it around. We got to win. We got to win. We have 6 days to go, Joe. We got to win. So, and thank you very much. A great honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, so that was Trump at the America's Future Business meeting panel. So, directed a lot of, it wasn't really so much questions as it was statements, policy-based statements, telling people where he's going to go with things, how things are going to get done. People who are in a, an older position, retired, how are you going to allow us to stay and keep what we have, and how are you going to basically help us to move forward in the future? I think these people got some quality answers. They were able to tell him what was their big concern. So let me just give you an update here. It is 5:35 right now. However long it takes him to get off the stage, greet people, and get back in the motorcade, it appears as though Allentown right now, in the middle of rush hour basically, is only 63 miles from Philadelphia where he is. But I doubt he's driving an hour and a half to get to Allentown. So more than likely he's got to get to the airport, got to get in the big jet. It's only a 30-40 minute flight over to Allentown, and then he's got to get the motorcade and drive that motorcade to the arena where they're holding tonight's event, which, by the way, is packed. It's packed again. Everywhere this guy goes, it's just absolutely packed. So he's heading over there. As you can see, he's still signing stuff. So let's say by the time he signs all this memorabilia and he gets in a car, it's going to be 6 o'clock. And then he's got to get to the airport. The event in Allentown is supposed to start at 7 p.m. It's an actual rally. It's not a roundtable. It's an actual rally that, so there's going to be 10,000 people there screaming and going crazy. He's not getting there before easily, I would say 6:15. The earliest I see him getting there is 6:30. So they're supposed to start at 7. That ain't going to happen. Yeah, we saw today he ended, and it took him basically 2 hours to get where he is right now from the earlier event, which was in Drexel Hill, which, this is in Drexel Hill. Where was the earlier one? I forget. Oh, Palm Beach. So let's give him some time to get over there. I plan on going live around 7. Maybe 7:15, and we'll get ready to go and get the pre-show, and we'll start. If by some chance he gets on early, I'll go ahead and cut the pre-show, and we'll just get right to him. But I'm going to plan on going live about 7:15, maybe even 7:30. I'm going to monitor, what everybody says he's going to get on. So we'll see. So don't worry, you won't miss it. If you want to join me back here, go ahead, and I'll put up the billboard as soon as I get done with this video, and then we can just see, how long it's going to take him to get over at Allentown. He's never one to quickly run out of a building. As you can see, I'm sure Secret Service is like, we got to go, man. We got to go. We got to get someplace. And there's no way you're rushing this guy away from his fans. It ain't going to happen. His supporters want to take pictures. They want to shake hands. He's trying to get out. People are still waving. And then he'll head out. So he's leaving out the back door right now at 5:38. Let's plan on 7:30. Let's plan on 7:30, and if it goes quicker, you'll see me just come on. But I don't see that happening. While we were on, there was a shooting at the Four Seasons in Atlanta. Don't know what happened. We'll find out. Maybe I have an update for you when we get on the third show of the night. But that's what it is. Allentown should be on fire. Allentown is a serious blue-collar town, a working man, working woman town, well-rooted, used to be in the middle of steel country. So I'm sure Allentown is going to be on fire tonight. But let me continue and finish up the video I had earlier about why you need to get prepared and what may be coming based upon the crazies after this election.
Jamie Raskin in Congress has said, let people vote for Trump if they want. We're not going to certify his election anyway. So he may be elected, but we're not going to let him be inaugurated.
When did he say that?
This is like 2 months ago. You can pull up the Jamie Raskin. I think that's probably the one.
Play it, Rob.
Again, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient because what can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going...
I can't believe that this guy put this on tape. And I'm not going to talk during this because I think you need to hear every word this nut job says here.
On right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
So if you go to...
So he actually said that. Knowing he was being taped, he basically just came out and said he's going to be advocating for a civil war. He used the term civil war. Nobody can say it's made up. That man who's in Congress basically said they're planning a civil war. They're going to do everything they can, even if he wins. Or should I now say when he wins. This is what they're going to do. This is why I keep saying be prepared. They're going to try everything to stop him after he wins.
My X handle, and you type in provoke breakdown, you're going to see that he referenced basically they're going to provoke a breakdown on January 6th. Now, this is very interesting. So here you go. I think this is one. Right, clear Trump win. This is the scenario. Now, if you go to the next screenshot, you'll see what it says there in yellow highlights with the red highlight. Again, this was in June 2020, being organized by military intelligence, State Department, and high-level political operatives from both sides of the aisle. Again, both the former heads of the both major political parties who were both anti-Trump. And one of the most consequential moves in their war game for how to make sure Biden was inaugurated, even if Trump was elected, was that Team Biden role-played by no less than John Podesta, who would then occupy this very senior slot in the Biden administration, White House. One of the most consequential moves was that Team Biden on January 6th provoked a breakdown in the joint session of Congress by getting the House of Representatives to agree to award the presidency to Biden based on the alternative pro-Biden submissions sent by pro-Biden governors.
You see what they're planning. They've got their playbook ready. They had it ready before. They didn't use that one. They went with just the other stuff that they did. And this time, they're like, well, if this guy wins, we already have the playbook on what to do.
This is what they're planning to do. They're going to make the argument that Donald Trump is disqualified under the 14th Amendment because of January 6th, and then they will do the exact same...
How likely is it they're going to do that?
I think it depends on how robust the consensus building has been for this and how much infighting there is in the Democrat camp. I think that the ire between the Biden and Harris camp has disunified some of these networks.
In addition, something big. One of the big Trump haters, Mitch McConnell, has said, I'm out. I'm out on, I think he said November 6th or 7th. He's walking away. So he was a big proponent. Now you got all these other guys who are basically, maybe up for re-election, who may not feel as strong, but at least this is what they're planning.
That have sort of reluctantly given in to some of the recent Trump momentum. But it's hard to know right now because a lot of these tools would not be played while Biden, Harris is still the occupants of the White House. They would not, for example, deploy street mobilization protests to burn federal buildings or police precincts or put the country in crisis while the person they want to win is occupying the White House. So it's unclear how robust the infrastructure is underneath the surface because they're not going to launch the surface attack until Trump wins an electoral college victory. But this is absolutely...
Okay, so you see where it's coming. Everything that they've been setting up. Fascist, 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 Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. And Kamala Harris is now the new Mike Pence. People have asked me, do you think she'll certify it? This is what they have planned. They've got the perfect patsy in place.
What they're planning. And by the way, they tried this in 2016. In 2016, they got about 13 or 16 alternate electors to not certify Trump's election then. But that was 8 years ago. It's unclear how much more reach they've gotten into that, but that is what this legal network is planning, whether they can pull it off or whether it costs them too much legitimacy.
It's not going to work, though. It's not going to work because the Supreme Court, he's got it, right? Is it, 5-4 right now or 6-3? I don't know what this is not going to be done without Supreme Court saying, relax, guys. You're acting a little bit out of control. He's the president. Go cry a little bit and you'll get over it.
Well, two things on that. One is, remember, it was this Supreme Court which voted 7-2 not to actually hear Trump's questions about the last election, about election fraud.
See, if they punt, if they decide again, hey, we're not getting involved, we're going to have a major, major constitutional crisis.
That was, Trump's legal team applied for cert to the Supreme Court, and it was 7-2. They voted not to hear the case. So the Supreme Court actually basically did not support, Trump's even ability to air that evidence publicly. And then the second thing is they are simultaneously launching this operation against the Supreme Court.
See, that's the key. They're going to attack Trump, and then over here they're going to attack the Supreme Court. You remember they lined up in front of Kavanaugh's house and did everything they possibly can. They've been attacking Clarence Thomas. They've been attacking Alito. They've even been attacking, Amy Coney Barrett. So they're not going down without a fight.
Opened these sort of ethics probes into Clarence Thomas. They are reopening, the lines of attack against Kavanaugh. I think part of this is to try to induce sort of tacit personal threats to the family, the stability, the reputation, the legacy of these Supreme Court justices, so that they do not intercede.
And they're talking about these real problems we're having.
All right, so that's where they are with that. But they've got a problem up in New York City, as you saw quick, you just blipped into it. They've got Eric Adams, who's the mayor of the biggest city in the country, who now seems to be, I won't say supporting Trump, but he's letting everybody know this fascist stuff is crazy. And the reason why that's important is because when all the shit hits the fan, they need to have it in New York. They need to have it just go crazy in New York. No one's really going to care if they start burning down Minnesota again. No one's going to care if they decide to do something in Cleveland. They need to have mass unrest in New York City because every media outlet is there. Every media outlet's going to have a microscope on what happens in New York City. Cincinnati, nobody cares. Chicago, nobody cares. New York City, everybody cares. But now, you saw it before at one of the other press conferences, and for some reason, they asked Eric Adams again, hey, is he a fascist? Is he a Nazi? Because they need him to basically play ball when the shit starts. See, there's not enough people in Washington, D.C. for it to start there. And there's no way they're going to storm the Capitol or the White House. They're going to get killed. So that wouldn't happen. Plus, Biden and Kamala are there. So that's not who the target is. The target is you and me and the media to show, oh my God, this thing is horrible. We can't, what are we going to do? They're not going to do it in Washington. They're going to come after where it's going to get the most visible impact. And listen to what Eric Adams says.
And with all that's going on to everyday New Yorkers, we're asking questions that is someone a fascist or is someone a Hitler. That's insulting to me. That is insulting. And I'm not going to engage in that. Everyone needs to turn down the rhetoric. Because after Election Day, we still have to be the United States and not the divided states. And so if people can't...
See, they don't want to hear that. They thought they could get Eric Adams out of here and they would get some nut job, some socialist, that black guy, I forget his name, that he would be the new mayor by the time the election and inauguration came on. That period between November 5th and January 5th or 6th, they needed somebody who would basically advocate for their craziness. And now they're finding out, because this is now the second time he's come out and said, no, it ain't happening here.
Understand there are real issues facing New Yorkers, and I just find it just humiliating that what everyday mom and pops are doing and going through across this country, that here we are having this conversation about this silly item. So I refuse to participate in that.
That's it. I love the choice of words there. I needed you to hear that. I refuse to participate in this. What do you mean? You're a Democrat. You're supposed to follow the program here. Nope, I refuse. And who else is going to refuse? The good men in blue. The huge police force of the New York Police Department. You know who else is going to refuse? The huge amount of people on the New York Fire Department. I refuse to participate in this. So now the Democrats are going to have to step back and go, what do we do?
I'm going to fight for New Yorkers like I've done for years, and whomever can understand that, they're not in the streets. When I'm at these town halls, talking to people there, they're not asking me these silly questions. We are in this bubble, and I know you guys really believe these stories you're writing. It gives you a lot of clicks. It's exciting and give you headlines. But this is not what New Yorkers and Americans are dealing with, folks. They are scared of their future. Someone needs to stand up and say enough of this. Tone down the rhetoric. Let people hear the facts. Let them vote. And let's decide what the next 4 years are going to be for our city. And that's my position. I cannot make it any clearer.
You see? That was a big cog. And this man stood up in another press conference. Because they're floating the trial balloons at him. So you think he's a fascist? Think he's a Nazi? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, man, I ain't having it. Not participating. Not even touching that. We're going to let Americans do what they need to do, vote, and then we'll see who the president is. That's not what they want to hear from the mayor of New York City, the mayor of the biggest city in the country, because he's basically giving them communication. He's letting them know it ain't happening here. Don't think that New York at this point is going to be a tinderbox where we're just going to let people go crazy and burn down the city and cause havoc and loot. Nope, ain't going to happen. So now I'm interested to see where they branch out to. Where are they going to get their focus? Where are they going to be able to look at when they decide to launch this entire thing? Because I can tell you, he's ready to mobilize. I'm sure the 30 or 40,000 officers in New York, they're ready to mobilize. It ain't happening in New York. So are they going to just try to confine something to Washington? I don't know. But if I didn't know better, and if you didn't know better, wouldn't you think that Eric Adams is sounding more and more like a Trump supporter? Like when he closes the booth, that he might pull the lever for Trump? Sure looks like it to me. People couldn't understand how he gave Trump the permits to go ahead and hold the rally at Madison Square Garden. They were all freaked out. They tried to get it shut down. He's like, no, we're going to do it. I have to believe in the background, Trump is basically putting alliances together. He is probably putting in the pieces to the puzzle to surround these people. Basically, here's my plan. Here's how we're going to stop it in the big cities. My concern for you, I guess my concern for myself, is what are they going to do in smaller cities? Like Springfield, Ohio, or Aurora, Colorado. Colorado, no, not so much, because that's already blue. But what are they going to do in these smaller areas? What are they going to do with any lone wolfy type stuff? That's the only thing, like Dan Bongino and everybody's saying at this point is, just keep your head on a swivel. They're going to react. Everybody at this point knows they're going to react. They're going to try everything they do. Jamie Raskin said the words civil war. He actually said those words. You heard it. That being said, now you know why I keep telling you to be prepared. Because if they can't do what they want to do, then they may escalate to a higher tactic, like flipping the switch on a grid and doing something completely off the wall. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. All I can tell you is just be ready. And that's all I got to tell you for this right now. Dan Bongino would tell you Eric Adams isn't worth a damn till November, for 24 hours a day till November 6th, right? Yeah, I mean, you heard the man speak himself. Yes, Barry, the operative word is alliance. And you know right now there are deals being cut backdoor all over the place. You with me? You against me? You with me? You against me? I don't even know what Dementia Joe. Remember, Dementia Joe is in office until January, 20th, 21st of next year? None of this could happen if he says, nope, ain't going to do it. Screw you, Kamala. Screw you, Obama. And screw you, Deep State. I'm not participating either. See, I don't know if they got him fully on board. And without him, none of this happens. So there's a chess match going on right now. Jamie Raskin, you can't do it if the president's not for it. I mean, we're about to see some politicking like we've never seen in this country. I can't determine which way things are going to go. Even like Patrick Bet-David said, is the Supreme Court just going to let this happen? We are this close from getting this man into winning the election. And then we're this far away from getting him into office. There's a lot of time between November 6th and January where all kinds of shit can go off the rails. Stuff that we've never dealt with as a country. Well, maybe back in 1864, when there actually was a civil war. I don't foresee there being a civil war because I don't think there's enough of them to really warrant that. I just see there's a few of them that will cause trouble. So that's where I think is. Yeah, I don't think Obama is. We'll see what happens. Well, somebody said F. Raskin. Believe it. Yeah, they have enough votes to arrest Merrick Garland. Yeah, just bottom line, we could all speculate. We could all sit here and just go, what the hell's going to happen? The only thing that you can count on at this point, nothing else can you count on because we don't know. I don't know. Anybody who tells you they know would be lying to you. The only thing that you can count on, because some of it's starting already, is that they are not going to take this lying down. That's the only thing we all can be certain. It's not going to be, he won. Here, congratulations. Here's my concession speech. Everything's fine. And we'll see you at the inauguration on January 20th, whatever. Not going to happen. Don't click your heels together. You're not in Kansas anymore. That, if you believe that they're just going to accept the results of this thing and lay down, I can't help you. I can't help you at all. The reason why the Apache helicopters were flying, I don't know. Like Elisa says here, that's all I'm just telling you. Be prepared. Get some water. Get some food. Prepare like you got a Cat 5 hurricane bearing down on you. And then another Cat 5 hurricane right behind you. That's all you can do. And pray. That's it. That's all we can do is just prepare and pray because we can't stop them from being nuts. Just make sure that your family's prepared. And that's all I'm going to say. And I don't think they also understand how much we're willing to fight this time. You see, they got a taste of it 4 years ago, but that was different. Right now, you can't hide it. She's being spanked badly. Let me see what the Poly Market's up to right now. Poly Market, she's still down by 33 points. The pollsters all show Trump ahead. It's 6 days. You're not going to move the needle. I don't care what you do. There's a video up on X right now showing her rally that she's doing. There's like 70 buses. They had to bring the people there. She can't draw flies. It's the entire thing is AstroTurf. It's all fake. And everybody knows it at this point. So, see you guys at... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I got to do the Super Chats. And just be prepared. I don't think Dan, myself, anybody else can tell you anything more than what we've told you. And if you don't feel like you need to, that's on you. That's fine. Do you. For those of you who do need to help, let me know. Because we need to talk. Now, don't forget, you can join our private forum over on X by going to fanfareshop.org/group. I'm going to change this graphic because now we're approaching 7,000 patriots inside that group. Going on 7,000. And then inside there, I'll start putting some tutorials in because people have so many questions on how to use X. And it's actually pretty easy. I was making fun when I said something to Ert, but basically, you put your cursor in and you type. And there's how you post something. Cursor, type, hit post. And you're posting. Repost, boom, hit that button. It's that simple. Now, if you want to do some advanced stuff like streaming and everything, you got to have the right software. But other than that, it's pretty simple. All right, so let's go ahead and acknowledge some people. Joy Kirkland, that's why I think they will 25th Joe and put Kamala in. She will be the first woman, and she would okay this plan. Now, here's something about the 25th Amendment of Joe. At this point, I wonder, because it's so close to the election, are some of the people that they used to think were, people they could count on, is there a fracture there as well? Are they like, you know what, we went along because XYZ person forced us. We did all the crazy stuff because we thought that's what you wanted. Now, it's not looking good. We're not playing this anymore. Are we going to see more Kristen Cinemas? Are we going to see more Joe Manchins? Where people just like, I'm done with your craziness. We're not playing this no more. You just, it ain't going to happen. Remember, there's only a number of these people that they have to have break away. And then they can't do any of this stuff that they want to do. Joyce, thank you very much. Let me just move this down here. Did I? I went backwards. All right. KRO, let's get this party started. Yeah, Sue P., thank you for all that you do for us, Barry, Robin, and Ashley. We greatly appreciate you. God bless you. And there are quite a few many others. There's Roaring Rage, there's Miss Chris, there's SV, Tommy Lawrence, there's other people as well. I just want to make sure they get mentioned. JKC, thank you, Barry, thank you. Mama Mima, how do you keep Hitler out of the White House? Vote Trump. Exactly. Jean Baby, thank you. Craig Draker, Philly loves Trump. It just seems like that way. Mary Bush, this is for a plant I ethered at either where it was closed and sent my job to Mexico. I will have no issue finding a job, but the others I work with will. I am so ashamed of our business leaders. They betrayed us. Yeah, payback's going to be a bitch too. November 5th. Mid-Destiny, Barry, you have enriched my life with your knowledge during this last year. Oh, wow, that's so nice. The phenomenal experience I have had with the Fanfare family during this election period has been life-changing. Wow, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you very much for those words. Thank you very much. Ernest Walker, hey, Barry, are you going to continue to do podcast streaming after Trump wins? Duh, of course. Of course, we move into more of a news show. As I see the fracturing, actually the destruction of the media, I believe there's an opportunity to actually bring news to you that these guys won't cover. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, if you've seen it on X or not, but Andrea Mitchell, yeah, she's out. She decides she's quitting. I think we're going to see a lot of people just jumping off the trains of MSNBC and CNN quite soon. She's out. Gray Man, I came back to Christ at a Trump rally in Concord while Franklin Graham was speaking. Wow, amazing, brother, amazing. Congratulations. Bonnie Morozic, tonight Trump is in my backyard, so you're up in Allentown. Jay Smith, the Second Amendment trumps the 14th. You bet it does. Joy Kirkland, that's why I think we did that one, and I didn't see Tommy Radcliffe down here. I wear the armor of Christ in the family of God, and my Smith & Wesson. I don't think I'll need it with the armor. Love you, Barry and Robin. Music for Christ, glory to the Father. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, just be ready. Don't mean you got to do anything. Just nobody needs to know what's in your closet. They don't need to know what's in your glove compartment. Just be ready in case shit breaks loose. Great statement. This is a shame that we have come to this in America. Pure evil at work. They've cultivated it, and now they're trying to harvest it. You should expect that when there's the single purpose, it seems as though in Kamala Harris's life, is to promulgate this disposal of babies. if that's your number one goal, if that means so much to you over everything else, if it rules your life to that extent, being able to remove babies, then anything else doesn't really matter. And that means you or me, any of us who are in a way. Their sacrament is the removal of babies. It's horrible. Stock up on the pantryist things. The 14th Amendment will turn on them, not Trump. Good point. TMI says stock up on pantry and things. She's talking probably like pew-pews. Thanks for bringing the truth, Barry. I watch you more than anyone. Let's rock America. Oh, thank you all very much. These criminals are about to make some good... Ain't that the truth? These criminals are about to make some good people do some bad things. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely believe that. All right, guys, I'm going to grab something, get back here in about an hour, and do the rally from Allentown. As I'm looking on camera here, I'm seeing some people, the preliminary speakers are speaking, but Trump, as we know, won't be there for probably an hour, hour and 15. So I'll talk to you in a little bit. Watch for the banner and the pre-screen thing that they show, and I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for watching.